Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Shearer, and welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm so glad that you found time during this evening or day, whatever your time zone may be, to spend time with us here on the Winning Women Show. For those of you who are regular viewers and listeners, thank you so much for joining us every week. And by now, you know that each week we do our best to present a different woman who shares her journey to success. And success for all of us is relevant and different. Success is not about becoming a billionaire necessarily, but it is about doing that something that not only do you know you're good at or are an expert or scholar in, but also that you're passionate about. That's something that makes you know that you're making a difference in someone else's life, which makes an even bigger difference in your life. And so each week, these women have shared their journeys to doing that special something that fulfills her passions. And I hope that as you've been listening or viewing, if you have been right on the precipice of saying to yourself, I've always wanted to do whatever it is, but I hope you'll hear something tonight that will make you eliminate that but and put an and instead and say, if she can do it, so can I. And so I hope you have been inspired and motivated by our past guests, but I can guarantee you that our guest tonight is going to excite you as well. Now, there's always my plea, if you will, for you to join in as a participant in this show. And you can do that in two ways. You can call in to this studio at 781-384-5587. I'll say that again, 781-384-5587. Or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. And I know our guests will thoroughly enjoy hearing from you. I'm pleased to introduce her. Her name is Gina Patterson, and she is a social impact and public policy leader. She is the director for place based initiatives for Boston Medical Center, and she leads external strategy and cross sector partnerships for Boston Medical Center's place based investment portfolios in order for them to advance economic mobility, neighborhood revitalization. When I saw that, that just excited me so much. Small business growth and climate resilience in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. I know you're not going to believe it when you look at her, but she has more than a decade of experience in the government sector. And she is an expert in community social impact and strategic partnerships. Her engagement in government, philanthropic, nonprofit, and public sectors has provided her numerous opportunities to lead key initiatives in addressing violence intervention and prevention policies, as well as programming, partnership, and funding strategies in workforce development, education for youth, and innovative initiatives focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion, but primarily equity. Gina has worked for the City of Boston, the Obama Foundation, Mass General Brigham Hospital, and the Atrius Health Foundation. She's a consultant for nonprofits and foundations, a board member of the Citizens Housing and Planning Association in Boston, Victory Human Services in Brockton, and several other councils and organizations. She earned her undergraduate degree from Simmons University in psychology and her Master of Public Administration from Columbia University. There's so much more. I'm going to let her tell us the rest. But all I want to say is welcome, Gina, to the Winning Women Talk Show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Regina. I'm so excited to talk to you and your viewers today about all of the work that I am doing, but also just talk about the things that I've been thinking about, passionate about, advocating for, advice to impart, all of the things.
Yeah, and I, as our viewers and listeners who are regular know, I always have the great opportunity to speak to our guests before the show, and I learned so much, and that got me so excited, I couldn't believe that I'd gone over the time that I wanted to talk to her, but tonight, we're going to hear some of the things that she shared with me, and so, as always, Gina, I like to ask our guests, can you please share with us, um, your journey and starting from your background and in growing up, family, education, and those things that led you to doing what you're doing now.
Sure. Thank you. Well, my journey started, I'm born and raised in Boston. I am a daughter of immigrants. My parents are from Jamaica and Trinidad. And I have so much just love and gratitude to them, but gratitude to the culture in which I was brought up in, and understanding of what it means to give back from a very early age. And Grew up in Boston. From the time I was young, I understood what it meant to volunteer because of my parents who were in the
Oh,
community volunteering, whether that was at church, at school, PTA type thing, or volunteering for the homeless, etc. So that was embedded very early on for me.
mhm.
I have to also say that my education in elementary school was a pivotal part in my life, and I think it really shaped my trajectory in life. I had the privilege of going to a school that was founded by two Black women, and they provided an environment in which I was able to understand um, and be nurtured in a way that was so positive and so loving, and really understand Black history, my history, and the power of uh, what Black people have done in this country. And so it really, from a young age, I we were touring as young ones, speaking the "I Have a Dream" speech all over the greater Boston area from
Wow.
heart. I knew it at 6 years old, 7 years old, on TV, reciting this whole speech. And so
Oh
I
my.
think I really have to give flowers and bouquets to both my parents and the um, education of those two great Black women. And not only that, I was incredibly privileged to be surrounded by amazing people, amazing women in my life from a very young age until, not until, just continuously over the course of time. I've just been incredibly blessed to be surrounded by women, fabulous women, including a former guest of yours, Christina Maryland, who
Yeah.
is a great friend of mine, and she's the one who connected us. So I have to shout her out
Oh,
today.
yes.
She's amazing, 20 plus years of friendship. But,
Wow.
I think I've just been surrounded by so many great women who just are in their lane, trying to really make a mark and leave a legacy in what they're doing. And so I think another pivotal moment in my life was attending Simmons University, which was formerly Simmons College when I was there. It's an
Mhm.
all women centered university here in Boston, Massachusetts. And my time there was just incredible. Incredible professors, incredible support staff, just a very well, like, nurturing place that I was very much able to own in on my leadership skills, um,
Mhm.
own in on my like personality, what I really wanted to do in life. And I had some great professors, but mentors at the same time that really just supported me
Mhm.
in a very beautiful way. And so that very much led me down a path in my career in which I had spent a ton of time in government, working on violence intervention and prevention programs,
Mhm.
going to Columbia University, which was another experience that was amazing, living in New York City and
Ah,
being able to really grow up in um, getting my master's degree at Columbia, but growing up in New York, like I became like a woman in New York, because one thing New York is going to teach you is how to like hustle, how to grind. What is your motivation? What is your passion? Because you're surrounded by so many people who are just very like entrenched in what they want to do and entrenched in their passions and their motivations. And so
Yes.
um, post Columbia, I have had just a beautiful ride in my career in which I've been able to um, very much do different things, but all of it is very much connected to social and community impact.
Mhm.
All of it is very much connected to how do I um, serve people of color, BIPOC people in particular?
Mhm.
How do I think about unlocking doors and being in places and spaces that make key decisions for us? How do I think about access and opportunity for our communities? How do I think about fundraising? How do I think about once I do get the money, where does the money go to? And how am I thinking about data and metrics and all of those things? And so it, I just think there's a through line in my life, and it has been a beautiful journey to really um, help me understand what my passion or what my purpose is here on earth. And so today I lead today I'm at Boston Medical Center. I lead an initiative called the Boss Collaborative, and I've been able to really be a leader in the space and think about how the hospital system is investing in communities, and specifically Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. And for those of you who are not from the Boston area, Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan is three neighborhoods in our city that are beautiful neighborhoods with amazing assets like people and mom and pop stores and food, and it's bustling, busy. But those three neighborhoods have also seen disenfranchisement, have also seen disproportionate data that points to health and wellness data that we saw during COVID.
Mhm.
High rates of COVID, high rates of diabetes, high rates of high blood pressure, high rates of homicide, high rates of gentrification. And so as much as I want to talk about the assets, we also have to talk about the deficits that have been taken from our communities for a very long time. And so for me, it's very much thinking about how does a hospital system invest in those neighborhoods? How does a hospital system think beyond its four walls and think about health and wellness, not just about an ER visit, but how do we think about health and wellness through the lens of housing? How do we think about health and wellness through the lens of nutrition? How do we think about health and wellness through the eyes of small business, climate resilience, all of the things that are very much interconnected with one another?
Right. And I was going to ask you that question. How does a hospital think about the community? And you mentioned some things. So uh, one might ask the question, so Boston Medical, the hospital wants to do some things that in partnership with community. And how does your role play in convincing whatever the targeted audience is for this, um, the recipients or of what is going to happen? How does this impact their view of, do they need what you want to offer, and what about our voice? Why don't you ask us what we want? How does what you do play into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that the community knows exactly what it wants and what it needs. We are not an institution that should be pushing our philosophy or our mission or our investments onto a community that is not asking for that. And so, what I think is most important is to really build relationship with
Ah,
community and community members and community leaders to really ask, what are the things that are actually needed in this community? How do we support, not take away from anything that is actually going on in the community? How do we make sure that services are not being duplicated? How do we be an asset to them and not a deficit? And so I think that is key, but I also think relationship building and building authentic relationships is crucial in building community and community partnerships.
and I agree with you, and I'm glad to hear your response to that because a lot of times people are, and I'll use the word skeptical, not cynical, but skeptical, suspect even of what the motives are. You know, it's okay. This is good. We definitely need a health mobile to see come through our neighborhoods or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
But what do you get out of this, right?
Right.
And so, where do you find yourself making the arguments for what you want to do? Or do people seek you out and then you decide if you're going to support what they're looking for?
I don't think it's necessarily I think it's actions. I think you have to be very much, like I said, building the authentic relationship, but also showing action about what it is that they may have asked for, and you're having conversation or you are delivering what exactly they have asked for. I think that's the first and most important thing, is making sure that community is very much understands that once they have a conversation with you, once they're building a relationship, that it's a two-way street, that we're able to connect and we're
Mhm,
able to
mhm.
then build, and then I'm able to provide whatever the service is that is needed.
Well, that is what we would like to see happen across the board,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
With especially with large institutions or corporations or companies that
Yeah.
are in neighborhoods where what they do has is impacted by where they're located, right?
Right. Right.
And so I love hearing that because too many people today think no one's listening, no one's
I
listening.
know. I know. I know.
So
And
I'm glad.
they have all reason to think that, based on history, based on, what we see today in our political environment. It's a lot of disbelief. It's a lot of cynicism, like you said, being just being suspect of what is taking place. Yeah.
So in your work, you were talking about the Boston collab, right? There are
Yeah.
systems that are at work whether we like them or not. Um, uh, the it's the society, even a small community can be a society, right?
Yeah.
And there are systems at work. So do you deal with that in the Boston Collaborative, or is this different? Is this solely initiative based?
Yeah, so it's solely initiative based. The collaborative is a cross sector table that has different organizations at the table, whether that is city departments here in Boston, other hospitals, and other nonprofit organizations. And so we've come together over the past 6 years and really um, walked uh, through how do we support initiatives around, as you named earlier, neighborhood revitalization, climate resilience, small business. And what does that mean? What are some of the tools, the technical assistance, the financial, but also the in-kind investments that
Mhm.
are needed to support different, whether that's nonprofit organizations, small businesses, or pilot projects that we really do see as potential in terms of systems change over the course of time.
Yeah. What do you find to be the greatest challenge? Because I know there's a lot of them. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of them, but let's say right up front, as at the beginning of whatever it is that your focus is on, what are the greatest challenges you've seen?
Um, I would say the I I get how people would be frustrated with a system because sometimes things are very slow
Mm,
to happen. Sometimes the system is very backwards about how they treat individuals or communities, or not even backwards, racist against individuals and communities. Um, so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
right. Yeah, and just those two areas you mentioned, that's overwhelming. Either one. Either
Yeah,
one.
either
If
one, either one. And you know what also oh, you'll have like individual examples of young people or older people that can't get access to particular things, which is incredibly frustrating. And or community members or communities don't know how to navigate particular systems, which why would they when things are just so complex at times,
Mhm.
to be able to navigate through different things, and there isn't necessarily resources or people to be able to help them. So,
Yes. Yes. And um I want to take a quick break, not a break, but interrupt you in that thought because um, from this, when you respond to this, we're going to take a quick break and then
yeah.
come back. But um, I can only imagine um, the challenges of your area. And I'm just curious, what is there about Gina Patterson that says, okay, I can handle those challenges? So at least you have some time to think about it. But as I was looking through the emails, this one says, hi, Gina. I found it interesting that you mentioned the idea of how hospitals can help with climate resilience within disenfranchised communities. What are some strategies for that? I'm wondering how the two can be related.
Oh, um, the two can be absolutely related because of climate change that is actively happening, whether you believe it or not. There is significant data around climate change that, especially in Boston, where we're seeing extreme weathers between heat and cold. And what does that do to particular neighborhoods all across the city of Boston, whether that is the seaport, where we know they're prone to flooding, or whether that's parts in Roxbury, where we know extreme heat in particular, based on heating maps that I've studied and we've studied, are particularly alarming and will absolutely affect not just one neighborhood, but many neighborhoods and many residents over the course of time. And so um, Boston is very lucky to be in a position in which there's many experts across the board who are studying so many different things, including climate resilience. And I am fortunate to be in a space in which I'm learning, which climate resilience is not my expertise. I will stand from the mountaintops and say that. But it is definitely a learning curve because it absolutely is interconnected to health and wellness. If you are
Yes.
experiencing extreme heat, guess what? If you have asthma, that is a problem.
Mhm,
If you are, elderly and are experiencing extreme heat, that's a problem. And you have health conditions related to it, and you don't have AC in the summer, that's a problem.
mhm.
So we understand and we very much know that, climate resilience is very much connected to health and wellness for our
Yes.
communities. And so some of the strategies that we've been thinking about is how do we provide homes in the city of Boston with energy efficiency appliances
Mhm.
upgrades or energy efficiency upgrades, whether that is windows that are 30 years old and need to be replaced, or whether that is a AC system that needs HVAC system that needs to be fixed. And how are we thinking about that and partnering with the city, partnering with other nonprofit organizations that are doing amazing work.
Mhm.
Um, I have to recognize that a lot of the climate resilience funding on a federal level has been slashed. There is no more money. And so we're left to really be creative and innovative about how we're thinking about um, so still supporting our communities and our residents, and making sure we're ahead of the curve with climate change and what it can possibly do to our neighborhoods.
Yes. I'm so glad to hear you say that because, um, when I was reading about you to your bio, so to speak, to and
Mhm.
introducing you, and I mentioned that I at the end, I put a little emphasis in it because I think of and I'm talking about systems that are at play when we think about people living in buildings that are 30, 40, 50 years old, and there have been no upgrades to plumbing, to heating, to air conditioning.
Yeah,
Um, I drive through Boston often and in the summer, and I look and see air conditioning units, portable ones,
yeah,
hanging out the windows, and I think, not good, not good. But it's good that they've got air conditioning, but
right.
when you're thinking about climate resilience, I and the I brought that up because I always pay attention to the gardens
Yeah,
that, have been created in Mattapan, Dorchester, and
yeah.
Roxbury, and people rely on those
Oh,
for their
absolutely.
for their vegetables and their produce, so to speak.
Yeah,
And when we have droughts, Boston is fortunate that it's got a lot of water all around
right, right,
and
right,
running through it. However, that doesn't it doesn't quite meet the needs when your gardens are drying up, right?
right, right.
And you have to cut back and what you're depending on that's going to give you at least a small financial break during the spring summer period is now being devastated by heat issues.
Yeah, yeah,
But so I love hearing I can't even imagine the conversation around that, especially with the cutbacks
yeah.
that have occurred,
That's
over the
just
last year or so. So, but I gave you something to think about because we're going to
okay.
find out why Gina is is loving this kind of work. But before we do that, I want to take a moment for our sponsor. For those of you who have been with us from the beginning or just joined us, we want to hear from you. So please don't be phone shy. Call us at 781-384-5587, or you can email me, Regina, at RGB Internet Radio. So we're going to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781-338-7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
And we are back with our guest today, Gina Patterson. And so, Miss Gina, tell us, what is it about you that what do you know to be true about yourself? What is your grit that that says, there are challenges, but there are ways to overcome them, and I'm going to find them.
Um, mm, I would say that, like, I just know that my I am my ancestors' wildest dream.
What an
Yeah,
answer.
I uh, I I have we're extremely privileged and blessed to live in this day and age, and I stand on shoulders of amazing women and men who um struggled to do different things and to be and um, to fight for different things. And so I think it is my duty as well to make sure I am continuing that pathway and continuing um, to leave behind a world in which I'd like to see.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad that you're during my time as well, because the things as I grow more senior in age, the things that your initiatives are trying to support are important to elderly people because we're
Yes.
living longer.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
But there are aspects of the system, depending on where you live and how long you've lived there and everything, that can create challenges for us, and be that pollution, pollen in the air,
Yeah.
and most of us are not in a position to just get up and move
Right.
somewhere where we think it might be better. So I love the fact that you're in an institution that's within a community of smaller, I'll call them cities. They're all part of Boston, but they're like cities unto themselves, and thinking about the citizens of those communities. And I can appreciate that, because when those citizens aren't healthy, they impact that institution, right?
Right. Right. And impact our community, impact our state and our world essentially. I must say that healthcare was not where I started. It was something that I shifted gears uh, in the pandemic to. My world was government and philanthropy for a very long time, but I do think that my career into healthcare was a great next step because it married those two things. I'm still very much working with government entities, working with philanthropy to make sure that the work that I'm doing currently works and we're successful at it.
Okay. So you said something to me that's I know it's not, but government and philanthropy to me is like, if you said governmental philanthropy, I would say oxymoron, right? But so can you tell us a little bit about your initial um, work in those two sectors actually? Yeah.
Yeah, I post college had started my work in the court system. So a very young Gina in the court system, working with domestic violence victims, homicide victims. Um,
Mm.
I was teaching domestic violence in prisons. Um, I was like 22, 23 doing this.
Really?
I was.
Oh,
And so from very early on, like I was working, I was doing my thing. And based on those experiences, I really learned like and understood policy through the direct service lens. And I decided to go back to school at that point in time to get my master's in public administration. Um,
okay.
I I thought, and I still do think that my education from Columbia has really informed the way that I've been able to come into a room, come into a space, and make decisions.
Well, if you're right, they would do that. They definitely, that's a great place to do it. But now, how did you spill over into the Obama Foundation?
Oh, sure. So post Columbia, I came back to Boston, and started working for, at the time was a new Mayor Marty Walsh, and I had an opportunity to work in um, what was his Department of Public Safety at the time, Public Safety Initiatives. And so um, back in 2014, when former President Obama was in office, he had an initiative called My Brother's Keeper, and it was a initiative based on the tragic shooting and passing of Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida.
Mhm.
And so subsequently after that, you had other Black men who died violently. And so My Brother's Keeper was started, and former President Obama had asked cities to take on the challenge of how do we support young Black um, men and boys through education and mentoring initiatives. And so
Right.
I became a part of that team, local city team, government team, to really push forth those sort of initiatives to support and invest in amazing organizations across the city of Boston. Um, in the way in terms of mentoring and education. And with that opportunity came the opportunity of a lifetime to leverage that work and be able to work for the Obama Foundation under the My Brother's Keeper initiative. And so I always say it was a wonderful experience. My colleagues are amazing people, are amazing people, and we still keep in contact all the time. But
Well,
just had the privilege of traveling across the country and really seeing through the eyes of other organizations of the work that they are doing in their communities to really uplift and support young Black boys.
right. So I know that you still have a passion about that and a
Yeah.
concern for that, even in the work you do now and the collaboratives that you're in now. So when you experienced that, is that what took you over to looking at BIPOC as well, not just the boys and men who of color, but people in general, and taking a closer look, because aren't you working um, doing some other things that are helping people navigate, if you will, the system to make the most out of the educational opportunities and that are available, as well as
Yeah,
health.
yeah. Uh, as I just said, I was able to travel across the country to
Mhm.
really gain perspective from cities like Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there's a amazing indigenous school there that I was able to visit and really gain understanding and knowledge of the inequities that are in the indigenous community, or traveling to Los Angeles and really understanding or gaining an understanding of what some of our Hispanic brothers and sisters, but brothers in particular, were going through in LA neighborhoods.
Mhm.
And, just seeing throughout the country that we have more in common than not. Um, we really do. And so for me, I just, in the work that I do, I continue to want to make sure that even with my work at Boston Medical Center, I'm thinking about policy, thinking about investment, also thinking about programming and event programming, but also in my personal life, thinking about that too. And how do
Oh,
I bring to life different cultural opportunities and programs to our community also.
So and I have another question here that says, how and what does the philanthropy that you are engaged with and through BMC? Oh, somebody calls it BMC. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, um, how does that connect? Do people come to the table with an offer to do something philanthropic for an initiative or for the hospital, which then uses that money for the initiative?
So it depends. Just like any nonprofit organization, the work that I do go after grants, and I actively fundraise. That's one way. Another way is if a entity is interested in the work that we're doing, which is how a lot of my work started at BMC, at Boston Medical Center. My work was funded by JP Morgan Chase. And so, um, and that was through a major grant that we won. And so we were able to not only pour that 80% of that money back into the community, but also leverage that money to have other sort of foundations or larger institutions make commitments in investments that we were doing as well. So I think, with philanthropy, it is a little bit of like very much building relationships, but also going after aggressively going after fundraising efforts as well, and trying to figure out what makes sense, what makes sense with the initiative that you're trying to lead. How do you expand it? How are you scaling it? And how you're able to align the funder as well.
Right. So, Gina, how does your what you do we know has social impact. What do you do to bring public policy into that? I mean, are you working with legislators, or do how does that play together? How does that intersect?
A little bit of both. I The public policy part is very much studying what is going on in terms of data and
Mhm.
trends and forecasts. So I'll give an example. Um, Looking at Black maternal health and the data that shows that Black women are more likely to pass away during childbirth or have
Mm,
complications due to childbirth, understanding that data, and then also then saying, okay, how that data informs something, that data is looking at something. And so for me, it was a natural sort of progression in partnering up with a wonderful leader here in the city of Boston to support her work around a birthing center here in Roxbury, and investing financially into that birthing center, and based on understanding Black maternal health
right,
data and
right.
how it has informed the work. And so we understand that investment, and I said this to you yesterday, Regina, is that it is a seed that is being sown today so that 5 years from now, we can see a
Yes.
difference in data around Black maternal health.
Gr That's great because I know our listeners are trying to pull those things together and go, "Well, is she a legislator?" And then she comes back but listen, before I ask you anything else, let me take this caller that's on the
Okay.
line.
Ooh, a caller.
Yes, you have one. Good evening. Welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. You're on the air with Gina Patterson.
Good evening, Dr. Regina. Good evening, Gina. Been nice listening to you both so far. I wanted to just say one thing and then ask your opinion on something. And it's a broad question because I know you can't solve all the problems of the world, but it sounds like you're on your way to doing that. So with all that you're doing, I know you're fighting a battle on so many fronts, and that's very commendable. You know, God bless you for the heart to do the work and that you're keeping up with it. You're on so many, boards or involved in different organizations, and it just shows that, you're willing to put yourself out there for the greater good. So kudos to you, 1,000%. Have you ever considered if you had to consider this, what would be the two major things that are the biggest barriers to people overcoming some of the circumstances that you're trying to help them with? Would it be that we need better education in the disenfranchised communities? Would it be that we need better economic opportunity? I'm just wondering, out of everything that you've already done, what are the two major things that you think could be changed to help? And like I said, I know that's a very broad question, but I'm thinking, you've got all these battles to fight on all these different fronts. Are there two ways to do something major that covers a lot of that and helps get things in the right direction, and then you kind of fill in helping more on another scale with other things? And hopefully I've been clear with my question. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughtful question. I really appreciate it. Well, your question is tough, right? Because we live in a system in which it wasn't designed for us, and in particular, Black people. It was not designed for Black people, and so we are trying to fight an uphill battle with different initiatives, different policies, etc. I think one of the things you did name around economic opportunities is incredibly important, because what we see time and time again, once people are able to have what I would call or deem a good job. And when I say a good job, it is access to benefits, access to not that 725 federal minimum. We're talking about living wage. We see it every time based on data that people choose their families and choose to continue to be in economic stability. And I think that's one. I think it is the ability to have equity. And when I say equity, it is not just inclusion or diversity, it is absolutely equity in recognizing that there is a whole race of people who started 400 years behind another. And what does that exactly mean? And so I think it is making sure that we are looking at policy that is rooted in equity. We're looking at how do we move those policies forward. This administration has made that very tough, including a major loss that happened last week with the Voting Rights Act. And so I think that we are in a position to really think about how do we mobilize as a collective and really think about how do we push for different policies and different opportunities to be made available.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that our caller wanted you to know she's listening and viewing. So she hung up so that because there is a little time delay so that she could hear your answer and watch
Okay.
you at the same time. So thank you, caller, so much for that. That was an excellent question. But you see why we have this winning woman on the show because she gave us an excellent answer. This time is going down. I've got to take another
Yeah.
quick break. It'll be
Okay.
very quick, and then we'll kind of come back and wrap this show up. But
Sure.
don't go far away, and we still have a minute to hear from someone else. So feel free to send those emails and or call in. But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we are back with our guest, Gina Patterson. Gina, as I knew this time was going to fly, I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to talk about balance in life because you and
Okay.
I were talking about it, and it's very important to you.
Yeah.
And so, can you share? Because I was going to ask you, how do you do all these things? And
Yeah. Um, Balance is incredibly important. Um, and I believe in family very much. I believe that it's incredibly important to find time and spend time with the people that you absolutely love, whether that is blood family or other family. Um,
Mhm.
and I have to shout out, I think my brother is watching and my husband is watching as well. So I have to shout them out, and my parents are watching. So um, I think that's one. I think it's also taking time out to do the things that you absolutely love. So, as a person that is from the Caribbean, I love going home all the time. It is absolutely a place that is my happy place. And it is a place that I find an opportunity to recharge and regenerate myself. And so I go home at least to both places at least once a year, and that is very much important to me. I
Mhm.
think that balance is also having good girlfriends. I have some really good girlfriends who I am able to take down my hair and be silly with, and
Mhm.
just enjoy their presence, and they fill me up, and vice versa. And so I think that's incredibly important. I know some of my friends are watching as well. And so I that there's that balance that keeps me going. But rest is
Yeah.
incredibly important too. I know as Black women, we always say we got to keep going, we got to keep going, and we got to check off this checklist, this imaginary checklist. But rest is a part of that checklist, and you have to be able to rest. And
Yes.
so rest is incredibly important to me. And then lastly, I've been doing Pilates, which I've loving. Like I know how much I love Pilates. Over the course of this past year, it has been a stress reliever for me. It has been a really happy place for me as well. So it is just important to find a happy place that you can take your mind to, take your body to, and really nourish yourself.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I can appreciate everything that you do to balance life out with your family, with your friends, for yourself. And especially when your family are both from, your parents are both from the sunny palm tree, sandy beach, blue sea areas of the world. And but more so, I know we had talked briefly that you even make time to support your husband with his event space. And I
Mhm.
think that just speaks volumes to who you are. Your life is the community. Your
Yes.
life is in the community. And we thank you for that. That's one of the common factors I find that women who've been on this show share is that no matter what the field they're in, they find ways to stay connected to the community and to give back to the community and to give to the community by their volunteerism or their participation on advisory boards, whatever. And you do all of that. I didn't want to read them all the things that you do, but I think everyone who's been a viewer or listener tonight has learned a lot about you and can tell that you are truly engaged with your institution and the community it's in. And we thank you for all of that work because, yes, 5 years from now, we're going to see a lot of fruit come off those
Yes.
trees you've planted in the
Yes.
community on behalf of the Boston Medical Center and the other institutions I'm sure that you worked for prior to that. And we want to thank you so much. Is if someone wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can get in touch with me via email. My email is gina.apatterson@gmail.com. I'll say it one more time, gina.apatterson@gmail.com. I'm also very active, well, not really active, but active on LinkedIn as well. So you're more than, can friend me on LinkedIn as
Mm,
well.
okay. There you have it. Well, thank you. That you have shown all of us that commitment can make a difference for the future. It's not just for the moment. And you've stated that so well and we thank you for what you're doing. You are indeed a winning woman.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Gina.
and especially when you leave and go to those sunny places. But except for the Pilates, I was with you on everything.
It's great. It's
But
great.
we thank you so much for
Thank
being on
you.
the
Thank
Women
you so
Women
much,
Health.
Regina. It was wonderful to be here today with you. I thoroughly enjoyed being a guest on your show and just being able to chat with you today and yesterday as well.
Yeah. Well, Boston Medical Center is the beneficiary of your being there, and we thank you.
Thank you.
For those of you who have been with us, if you are like this kind of show, join us on Monday nights for a show called Talk Time with Robert G. Brown, which covers international, national, regional news, things that are of interest. He has a lot of guests on. They debate, go back and forth on topics of current affairs, what's happening in the world. And if you've been watching that show, you know he's just pretty straight up with it and but so much to learn. And then if you like special kinds of music every night from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, you can fall asleep and get that rest and imagine that you're in Trinidad or Jamaica by listening to smooth jazz. It's on every night and it is smooth and it just is that thing that you can fall asleep to when you're really, really tired. On Saturdays, if you're an oldies person, Saturday all day is oldies but goodies day. And then you can join DJ Bobby B. And he has a show called Let's Go Back. And you can call in and give him your requests for oldies from whatever the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever that decade may be. And then on Sunday morning, as you prepare to go to worship, you can listen from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning to Bishop Robert G. Brown with his gospel show of music that is early morning music, but it is music that will set your soul on fire. It's called Sunday Morning Glory. And so we hope you'll pick up on some of those. And as always, come back next Thursday, same time, same place, and join me for the Winning Women Talk Show. We thank you. And remember, if she can do it, so can you. Keep that in mind. And we see you next week. Thank you for joining us this evening.